I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Could you briefly introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Jelena. I'm the co-founder, CEO of Noble. So I've been working deeply within the Cosmos ecosystem for the past 3 years. A lot on the go-to-market side, business development, some product marketing. Very passionate about the open source ecosystem, about IBC, and just generally making sure that the world understands what Cosmos is all about. Before Cosmos, I was with Definity. Definity is also a very well-known project in the crypto space. I was working there very early on as a community manager. I'm also the co-founder of the Canadian Web3 Council, which is a lobbying association based in Canada for the crypto ecosystem. So overall, really excited with the growth of the Interchain, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Wow, you do a lot of things. Okay, the second question, this is like an ice-breaking question. So what was the first coin that you bought? When was it? And why did you buy it? Can you remember?
I'm afraid this isn't going to be a very interesting answer. It's probably to be expected, but it was Bitcoin back in 2015 or maybe 2014. So around that time, I was at the University of Toronto. There's a lot of enthusiasm around Ethereum and cryptocurrencies more broadly.
Right.
There was a Bitcoin club at the university I was studying
Club.
at. Bitcoin club,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Student clubs are the best ways to get involved.
I know, that's pretty same in Seoul.
Yeah, and I know there's a huge community there. Maybe similar to Toronto. And so really it was because of this Bitcoin club and really, having other friends in the space that I understood Bitcoin and started to get really involved. I read the white paper, and so there was this one fiat on-ramp called ShakePay that became very popular and is now kind of the main way to buy Bitcoin with Canadian dollars. So, I put in my debit card or maybe it was my Visa, bought some Bitcoin, transferred to a self-custody wallet, and that was that. And then shortly after, kind of got interested in Ethereum, and a few years later in ETH. So not super interesting, but yeah.
Interesting enough. Thank you so much. So could you give us a brief introduction of Noble and its role as a native asset issuing app chain in the Interchain ecosystem?
Yes, definitely. So Noble was very much a response to the collapse of Terra and specifically the collapse of UST. So obviously before kind of Noble, before UST sort of collapsed, that was really the main way that users in Cosmos sort of transacted with stablecoins. Obviously at that point we still had bridged stablecoins, but UST as a native Cosmos asset was really the main way that people use stablecoins. And so when that all went away, myself and a couple other people, including Zach Mannion and Jack Zampolin from Strangelove Labs, we kind of put our heads together and said, how do we sort of think about interacting with large stablecoin issuers like Circle, who we saw to be the most stable, reliable stablecoin issuer in the crypto space. How do we interact with them? And then when we do sort of engage with them, how do we do education around Cosmos, but then how do we come up with a technical solution that would make them comfortable to issue USDC? And so that was really the main catalyst. I would say the second large catalyst, maybe equivalent to what happened with Terra, was DYDX. And so they, of course, announced that they would be migrating their V4 platform to Cosmos. And they would need a lot of sort of stable, reliable, secure access to native USDC for their perpetual swap exchange, their futures exchange. And so we came together and then eventually came up with the idea for Noble. So Noble is a Cosmos app chain. It is secured by the Cosmos Hub, so it's secured by the Atom validator set. And really its role is to sit in between the asset issuer, like Circle, and the app chain ecosystem. So we really view ourselves as ambassadors for these asset issuers, such as Circle, within the larger Cosmos ecosystem. So how do we have all the integrations with wallets, with exchanges, with block explorers, and how do we make sure that all of these app chains have reliable, easy, straightforward sort of source of liquidity for their use case, whether that's a DeFi protocol, a DEX, an NFT platform, etc.
Amazing job. Amazing job. Noble is bringing native USDC to the Interchain, and what problems does it solve?
Yeah, so really the problems that Noble is sort of addressing has to do with some of the challenges we see around current sort of bridging solutions with bridge stablecoins in particular. So bridges themselves are incredible like technical innovations. They've resulted in this ability to to have a good amount of liquidity and a good amount of access to non-native assets like USDC across the crypto space, not just within Cosmos. But at the same time, there are sort of like challenges and friction points around the user experience. And so one of those kind of user experience challenges is this fungibility problem. Right. So if you have Axar USDC sitting on the Cosmos Hub, Axar USDC sitting on Osmosis, sitting on Injective and so on, technically all of those bridged assets are not sort of fungible with each other. And so to sort of redeem them and have that be kind of the canonical bridged asset that was once sort of minted from, let's say, Ethereum, you have to go all the way back to the origination chain, which is, in this case, let's say Axlar. And so, a lot of users don't know that. A lot of users sort of see, kind of bridged USDC, and they kind of think, well, that's immediately, let's say, even redeemable for the native asset with Circle. Not the case. And so what we're trying to do is have this central sort of platform for the native issuance of the asset, like USDC. So you have, Circle and their counterparties minting, burning, even blacklisting as necessary, USDC kind of in this Cosmos ecosystem as they already do on Ethereum or Arbitrum or Avalanche. But at the same time, you have this kind of fungibility challenge in Cosmos where you kind of have this like, you have this path issue, right, that I kind of just mentioned with bridged assets. You have this path issue automatically sort of solved for. So if you have, if you have USDC from Noble and you take that to Osmosis and then you want to take that to, let's say, DYDX, that would automatically unwind the path and sort of have Noble act as a router, so you're always one hop away from the origin chain. So we're leveraging this middleware called the Packet Forward middleware to achieve that. So at the end of the day, this is a user experience challenge that we're trying to address and also at the same time educate around so that users sort of understand what Cosmos is all about. On the one hand, you have this beautiful vision of this like sovereign interoperable kind of ecosystem of blockchains that are all technically their own kind of layer one, which is very different than Ethereum or Solana, where it's like this monolithic base layer. But you have this beautiful vision. At the same time, it poses a lot of it poses its own set of challenges. And so really, Noble is sort of coming in and trying to address those challenges from the perspective of the asset issuer, right? And I think you have other projects that are trying to solve kind of Cosmos challenges from the perspective of MEV or even even like novel AMM designs and things like this. And so we have our own sort of approach to this, but we believe it's a pretty critical approach if Cosmos is going to succeed and do well in the future.
Wow, you guys are doing so great.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So security is paramount in crypto world. So how does Noble ensure the security of assets on Noble?
Yeah, so I mean, this is a topic we take obviously very seriously and have had to sort of, kind of think about deeply and thoughtfully over a period of time. And so the ultimate sort of approach that Noble takes is what is the highest level of economic security within this proof of stake environment that you could possibly have. Right now, with shared security or with Interchain Security, that is very much leveraging the Atom validator set. Right. So Noble will, of course, be a consumer chain of the Cosmos Hub. Right now, we're running a proof of authority chain, which obviously Cosmostation is a part of, to make sure that things are going well pre-transition to Interchain Security. But at the end of the day, our number one concern is highest level of economic security on proof of stake that you can get. And right now, that very much is the Atom validator set and the Atom token. And so that is one element of this. The other element that we kind of really take seriously is being minimalistic and not doing too much. So Noble is not a DeFi chain. We're not a DEX. We don't do NFTs. We don't even have a smart contracting layer like CosmWasm at this point in time. We're a Cosmos SDK chain. We keep things very, very simple. We leverage, a few modules from the Cosmos SDK, things like the Token Factory module, and so forth. And so we want to make sure that when Noble goes to market and when Noble is, processing, hopefully hundreds of millions dollars worth of USDC and other assets, that it is the most secure way to do so. And part of that is, of course, the validator set and the token economics, which of course come from the Atom kind of token model, but then and leveraging interchain security. But the other part is also just making sure the chain design itself is very minimalistic and very simple.
Yeah.
And in fact, we actually take a lot of inspiration from the Cosmos Hub itself. So we want to make sure that, again, we're not doing 1,000 things, that there are not that many more, exponential attack vectors on Noble, that it is very straightforward and minimalistic. And so that's really the go-to-market. And, at the same time, I guess the third piece from a security perspective is just IBC, right? Making sure IBC is battle tested. We're working with our partners to ensure that those channels are stable, that IBC, the protocol itself, isn't compromised, and really focusing our efforts there.
Right, makes so much sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, we also see that a lot of other entities in Cosmos, whether that's validators like the Cosmostation or other chains, are putting a lot more resources and efforts. So I guess to sum it up in three kind of focuses for security for Noble, it's security around interchain security, and make sure that the Atom validator set is, kind of backing Noble. It's the Cosmos SDK, having a minimalistic design, not reinventing the wheel, being very straightforward in our application. And number three, IBC, and making sure we're part of the group of, companies, projects that are monitoring for exploitations and making sure IBC remains a gold standard for bridging.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
That was amazing. What upcoming features or updates can users expect from Noble?
Well, we're very excited to get this USDC use case right.
Sure, yeah.
So right now we very much are focused and our entire energy behind that. So within that project and within that kind of objective, we will be supporting actually this cross-chain transfer protocol that Circle has themselves developed. So we're very excited to be a partner to CCTP, where Noble can effectively act as the origin chain and destination chain for mints and burns of USDC that is cross-chain, not just within Cosmos, but within the larger cryptocurrency ecosystem. So it'll be very exciting to be able to pretty much send native USDC from, let's say, Ethereum to Cosmos via Noble, leveraging something like the CCTP.
Awesome.
So yeah, we actually see this as a great kind of initiative to obviously bring over liquidity from the rest of the crypto space to Cosmos and really have that all happen natively on chain, which is just very exciting.
Yeah.
And that will be a huge part of DYDX's migration as well. So obviously right now they are on Ethereum, they are leveraging the Starkware layer 2 protocol. They eventually, when of course they launch their mainnet in Cosmos, will need a seamless migration of assets. And so CCTP will facilitate that. We've been working very hard to make that user experience extremely straightforward. So that's exciting. But beyond that, we are also looking to educate and engage with other asset issuers. So other stablecoins, other kind of crypto assets that exist. I think more long-term, we very much are interested in bringing kind of real-world applications into, on-chain, leveraging this stablecoin liquidity, right? So payments apps and other sorts of maybe more fintech type solutions that can source their kind of stablecoin issuance from Noble, because we really do see the Cosmos kind of stack and the Cosmos chain as a very scalable, very modular and effective way for other applications to plug into. So, we are hoping, in the future, using the Cosmos stack, understanding how it's so capable of supporting these real-world use cases, we can be sort of that gateway.
Nice. I'm so excited.
Me too.
What are some projects in the Interchain ecosystem you believe will create some great synergies with Noble? Any projects in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many exciting kind of things happening in Cosmos that we're very excited for Noble to plug into. So We've talked a lot about kind of DYDX and their sort of entrance into the space. We obviously see that as like a great synergy with Noble. But there's other sort of up-and-coming projects like the Say Network that will be plugging into Noble. We see a lot of activity and sort of optimistic sort of things happening there. Really, any DeFi protocol, any DEX, and any AMM is obviously highly synergistic with Noble. Honestly, one of the things that I'm most excited about, I mean, as interesting as DeFi is, I do see things like what Stargaze is doing as like very interesting from like a cultural perspective. So I'm a big fan of the Bad Kids collection. So it's
I'm holding one.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few. I'm very grateful that I got it a little bit probably earlier than you, but because you mentioned you kind of joined the space recently, but I mean, it's very cool even for yourself that joined the space recently. Bad Kids was like one of the first things you probably did. And I think buying a Bad Kid, especially if you're newer to the space, is like a great way to start to understand IBC, just to understand Cosmos, to understand
that is so true.
More of the culture, more of the kind of ecosystem. And so I'm just very excited, for example, to have, one-click transaction purchase of Bad Kids, on Stargaze with USDC. One click, like
That is amazing.
Very straightforward.
Yeah,
and so that's just a great example of a synergy that is on 3 levels. It's with Noble, it's with Stargaze, and then in this case it's with the Skip protocol team that can kind of automatically route that transaction to make the user experience very easy. So, there's a lot of synergy, I think, between Noble and the rest of the ecosystem. We're very incentive aligned with Cosmos, but at the end of the day, we're going to see a lot of interesting use cases come up.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, so you can get your next Bad Kid with Noble USDC, hopefully.
Hopefully. For the Korean Web3 community, people interested in Noble, how can they get started and what resources are available to them?
It's a great question. I mean, the Korean community, I think in general, is very active. I was actually in Seoul last year for a hackathon, the HackAtom event, and so I think there already is a lot of education. I think from the Noble's perspective, one of the ways that I think you can sort of get started, of course, when Noble USDC is live, is actually using different wallets and actually maybe experimenting with the different wallets that exist to do, let's say, a token transfer or to send USDC from point A to point B. So the different wallets I would kind of recommend to kind of start playing around with and seeing how easy it is to, first of all, buy USDC, and then once you have bought it, actually be able to send it on chain would be, definitely Kepler. I believe there's a Cato integration directly on Kepler, or maybe that's on Osmosis, but for the fiat on-ramp, I think it is available for the Korean community. I want to make sure about that actually. For the fiat on-ramp, you can use Kato and then send that to your Kepler wallet, maybe do something with it on Osmosis. That's one flow. And then another flow would be to use Leap Wallet. And to have USDC from Leap Wallet, maybe you want to buy an NFT with USDC, and then of course IBC wallet as well. See what that user experience looks like. So I think my main sort of advice would be get your hands dirty, play around, even if it's not the easiest thing in the world on day one, which it might not be. Still trying, seeing the different user experiences, seeing how things work, and then definitely following us on Twitter, giving us feedback, what they would like to see. We're always extremely observant and paying attention to what the community is asking for. So that would be my advice. Trying the wallets with USDC to do something in Cosmos, whether that's DeFi, buying an NFT, maybe something like this. And then, following us on Twitter and kind of engaging with the team in terms of feedback and really anything else. So, reach out. We're always very available. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.